Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode 1180, 1180. Good morning. Happy Monday. Good to be back after a couple days away. Did the Midwest premiere down in Loves Park on Saturday. I'm going to talk about that. My sales, my buys, attendant, all that stuff. We'll talk about the Midwest premiere this past weekend. And then headed back to Anawan and spent some time with mom Saturday night, Sunday for Mother's Day. Came back yesterday. I did round 2 of Mother's Day celebrations. We went out to eat last night with my mother-in-law and good stuff. And that's it. That was my week. Okay, that's it. That was my weekend. Have a great day. Okay, no, we'll get into it. We're going to talk about how to find deals in bargain boxes today. I found some good stuff. It's been a while since I've really found like quantity of quality digging through bargain boxes, and especially from one dealer that I did buy from over the weekend. I've gone through his bargain boxes, 3 or 4 times and haven't bought anything. And it's like, man, it's just, these are weak now. Not the case this past weekend. So talk about how I find what I do find, some of my targets, some of my sales, talk a little card show talk. Hey, speaking of cards though, when I went home, my mom had mentioned to me a week or so ago, a couple weeks ago, and said that she's like, hey, I found some cards. They look good. They were on Facebook Marketplace. They looked old to my mom, which is kind of like, she's like, they're like 30 years old. Like that's old to my mom in like card. Like they're like 30, like cards are like 30 years old. I'm like, oh no. They got to be like 10 years old or 50 years old. So she ended up buying 2 binders of stuff, and I'll have to. They're still in my car. I'll bring them down tomorrow. But so she got them Sunday morning. She's like, "Oh, I've got to get those binders for you." So she brought these binders out, and I open like the first, and of course it's like 89 Donruss, 90 Donruss. It's like that's what you always find. But then I'm starting to flip through the page. I'm like, oh, like there's a page of like Steve Garvey, our favorite, 83 tops, 84, 85. 82, Ricky Henderson. And it looked like these binders were curated by player. It's like this page has mostly Steve Garvey. This page has mostly Ricky Henderson. It seemed like it might have been in alphabetical order also. Here's Don Mattingly. No like huge, no like Cal Ripken rookies or, Don Mattingly rookies from because they were basically from that, basically all 80s cards. From the beginning of the 80s to the end, and then there were 70s cards also. And then I get to I think it was the first 71 tops I saw was Don Sutton. That's a good card. 71 top. I'm like, oh, this is a reprint, because it was in such good condition that I thought it was a reprint. I looked at the back. I'm like, oh, this is an actual 71. It's off center, but like there's no chipping. The corners are sharp. I'm like, damn. There were about 10 or 12 71 tops, and they were all pretty in really good condition. Of course, I don't know what those grades are. I don't do that, but there were a couple Cubs. I think there was a Billy Williams and a Fergie Jenkins from 71. Couple Billy Williams from 73, Willie McCovey 73 tops. So there was some good 70s stuff. It wasn't just commons. It was actually mostly stars, superstars, and Hall of Famers in these 2 binders. And she's like, "Is there anything good in there?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's a lot of good. This is a good find. Thank you." So that was good. I'll have to bring the binders and show those off tomorrow. So grilled for mom yesterday, and Then we went to Ruth Chris last night. And since I grilled a steak, had a steak for lunch, probably should take it easy tonight. So I've never had because usually when I go to Ruth Chris, I get a steak. So this was a good opportunity to try something else. And I was kind of going back and forth between their fresh fish of the day was salmon. I'm like, we have salmon Sunday. We eat salmon every freaking Sunday. I'm like, I can take a Sunday off. I don't want salmon tonight. So I was going between either the stuffed chicken breast or the almond encrusted walleye. And I was set on the chicken breast, and my wife goes, I've heard the almond crusted walleye is really good. She's like, you should have that. And I'm like, nah, I think I'm going to have the chicken breast. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, no, the walleye. Maybe I should try the walleye. I'm glad I did. It was phenomenal. I would get it again. And usually I'm not a repeat. If I go to a restaurant, I don't get the same thing. I try different things on the menu. I would go with the almond crusted walleye at Ruth Chris. It's phenomenal. So good meal. Good meal. What else? That's about it. That's about it. So I want to talk about the card show on Saturday. I see we've got some comments coming in. So we'll talk about that. I left my boxes upstairs and in my car also, so I can't show off, but I do have some of the stuff in my eBay store, which my eBay store continues to pop off, which is good. 99centcards.com. Save 25% when you buy 7 or more cards at regular price. I did add some Saturday night. I added some of the stuff that I picked up at the show. And I'll be adding, I had a lot of people asking me on Saturday, have you found anything good out of the Goodwill palette? I'm like, I haven't even really looked. We looked through the Nike box with the Dominique Wilkins cards. The first box, they kind of sprinkled the good stuff on top, went through that. But as far as I went through one other box where I was pulling, cards of, and I actually saw Mike who buys from me at the show on Saturday. I said, hey, I probably won't have these ready at the next Madison show, but Janesville or Madison in June. So I'll have some nice box for him at next month's show. So go to my eBay store. I will be I'll be going through some of that. I've got no shipping for 2 straight days, so I'm behind on shipping. Got a lot of shipping to do today. This week is nice though because I don't have anything this coming weekend, and my wife's going to be out going. One of her friends is flying in the suburbs, so their college friends are getting together on the weekend. So I'll have some extra time and go through some of that Goodwill palette this coming weekend. It's kind of nice break. Last week was real tough. With the Goodwill palette, the Bowman release, and getting ready for the card show. And then on top of that, being out of town for the whole weekend. So it was kind of a stressful week. I feel like a weight has lifted off my shoulders this week. It's like, oh, I don't have any new product to rip and flip immediately. I don't have to unload and load Goodwill palette and card show stuff. I will have to get my card show stuff out, but that's whenever I get to it. So so this week's gonna be nice. So yeah, hit up my eBay store. Good stuff. I did drop prices on some Bowman. I went through and I'm going to try to be more on top of that with these new releases. And I've done that for Top, Series 1, and Heritage, and Big League, now Bowman. So, because a lot of it was release day price or, early release prices. So dropped some pricing on that. And plus 25% off. Get some good deals. So check those out as well. I do have, also, I have some auctions before we get to the chat. I have some auctions ending tonight. WWF magazine cards. I know nobody in here probably cares. Just in case. The magazine cards from 95, 96. I think I have 150 auctions, 99-cent free shipping. Have a few bids. There's only like 14 out of 150 have bids. I hate auctions. Why am I doing auctions? And I've said this before. I'm moving out stale inventory. I do know I have a couple buyers, and one of the buyers, I sent him a message. I said, hey, I ended up putting all my WWF magazine cards on auctions. He's like, I saw that. I'm watching them all. So at least I have one person that's semi-interested. So I'm just getting rid of stale inventory with these WWF magazine singles. They end, I believe, tonight. So check that out if you're so inclined with those. I think they're awesome. And, I'd love to keep them, but it's not my PC. I think 1 million Cubs cards is enough for a PC. All right, let's go to the chat. Orlando, first one here. What's going on? Good morning. Matty Ice in the house. Good morning to you. East Coast Tom is here. What's happening? Boston Smoke. Good morning. Royals 417. What's happening? Matty Ice says hello to Orlando. Turkey Cards is here. Good morning. Sal Dougie's in the house. What's happening? Brian, good morning. Cooter, James, a few good deals at Loves Park. Traffic was slow compared to other shows. So it's hard for me to compare because it's in such a big event, and there's 200 tables. They had more tables at Saturday's show than they did at the last time they had the Midwest premiere in the same facility. More tables this time. And maybe even more tables than the first, because they had tables all the way up. And, it looked like they were able to get more tables in the last couple times I've, set up at this show. Foot traffic was down. And, we can talk about weather and graduation parties and Mother's Day and all that. And I think, there's always something. There's always something. I think, I don't know, because it is a big show. But it's not established, right? There's been a few Midwest premieres, but it's just not established. And it's not at a set time. It was around the same time last year, but then there was one in October, and I think this was the fourth one. And it's just kind of around the calendar. And I just wonder if that has something to do with it. And my wife has to work early. She's not happy. My wife has to do like a walkthrough this morning. It's like, I have to leave the house at 7:30. I'm like, ooh. Anyway, I just wonder if that has an effect on shows that are not monthly or that are not. And when I talk about established, I'm talking like Chicago Sports Spectacular. The bigger shows that are, whether they're quarterly or annually or twice a year, and they're on like the same weekend. I wonder if that has something to do with, and it just has to gain traction. And I think, even with monthly shows, it takes a while. My show's bigger than ever now in 2024. And it started during the height of the boom. And, 17 tables at show 1, 23 tables at show 2, 30 at show 3, 35 at show 4. Like, it was a gradual growth, but after time, consistency, it's a monthly show every month, and it gets there. And so that's one thing I wonder about shows that do have inconsistent traffic. And there's a lot of shows. There's a lot of different, look at last month, look at April's Madison show. Traffic was way down. I knew it was going to be way down. We had Minnesota. We had Green Bay. think there was a show in the suburbs the same day, Chicago. So we'll see. We'll see in 2 weeks. Madison Card Show, Saturday, May 25th. It's Memorial Day weekend. I'm the only idiot that plans a show on Memorial Day weekend, but it's paid off. There's been good traffic. I think there's going to be good traffic. I can tell, at least from a dealer standpoint, when the Chicago guys say, hey, do you have any tables for the May show? It's like, oh, there's no shows in the suburbs. Kyle, good morning. There was Kyle, by the way, there's one so far, and I haven't looked through like boxes, so there might be more NASCAR hiding in the Goodwill palette. But there was one blaster box of like a modern Donruss NASCAR with, I don't know, Chronicles. Do they make that for NASCAR? But there's something. So there's 20 or 30 NASCAR cards that I found so far. There's a whole box of hockey blaster boxes. So I actually really enjoy, now hockey I won't enjoy, but when it's football, basketball, I really don't. Yeah. But if it's football and baseball, there'll be a box and it's like somebody ripped blasters and put all the cards back in a blaster and then like send it to Goodwill. And there's some good finds in there. Some good finds. I'm not finding $100 cards, but there may be a cheap auto or, all the superstars are there, rookies and stuff like that. So I'll go through the hockey. Probably it's modern, so I'll put them in quarter boxes. I've got one or two hockey buyers that I see every once in a while, and they buy a lot. So we'll see. Shane, good morning. Brian Wolf's in the house. What's happening? David is here. Good morning. Tom was in Baraboo was this weekend. I did hear somebody was talking about the Baraboo show. Baraboo High School was a very good buying show. Lots of first-time dealers and others blowing out inventory. And that's what I love. That kind of goes along with today's topic. First-time dealers, sometimes they just, and I don't want this to come off as sounding like you're taking advantage of first-time dealers, because that's not what I'm getting at. But sometimes first-time dealers, they're first-time dealers because they don't want all this crap. They want, if they're buying boxes, they're taking like the best one or two cards, putting them in their collection or grading or whatever they do. And then everything else they don't care about. And I see this a lot. There's some first-time dealers that are that, and they just blow out cards for way under. Or there's a first-time dealer that thinks they have gold and it's 91 Fleer Commons and they're in quarter boxes. So, but that would be, yeah, you get a one-off show in a smaller town with first-time dealers, could be a great buying show. Good to hear. Brian says it's genetic, the good card deal genetics. There you go. Porter, what's happening? Good morning. Zach and Porter in the house. What's going on? James loves walleye. It's delicious. Hey, speaking of fish, so I asked my buddy's a big fish, Friday fish fry guy. And so I don't know how this came up, but I'm like, hey, because when Scotty Dubs came to town, we went to the Village Green, downtown Middleton. It was their Friday fish fry, and I was going to have a burger because they got great burgers. And this was before I turned a new leaf on my diet. And I'm like, oh, the Friday fish fry sounds pretty good. And so we actually both got the fish fry, but it's like, it's up here, it's walleye, cod. What else? That's it. And there's like another, I can't remember. But where I grew up, it was catfish, man. Like, we didn't have cod, walleye. We had catfish. And I love fried catfish. So I text my buddy because he's in the know, and I'm like, hey, is there any place in Madison that does catfish on Friday fish fry? And his response didn't answer my question. It was, why the fuck would you want catfish? Like, it's fucking good. God. Don't judge me and my shitty palate. So he eventually, after he gave me shit for liking Catfish, he came around and he's like, yeah, there's a place on the east side. I'm like, I'm not going all the way over there. I want something within like 3 miles of my house for fish fry. Cooter says Copper River King salmon is the best salmon. Expensive, but amazing. I just thought all salmon was the same. I just thought salmon, all the same. Fresh, frozen. Can you fry salmon? I don't think that would be good. Fried salmon. Red Light 34, good morning. How was the show? It was a good show. We're going to get to it. It was a good show. It's a good show. I was successful both buying and selling. Not as successful as I was maybe hoping, but I think that's always the case. But I would say, and I told Mike, one of the promoters, I said it was an average show. Like, I did better than last month's Madison show from a sales perspective. But I thought I'd make a little bit more, especially I really loaded up the dollar boxes. And I want to write this down so I don't forget, because I think I'm going to do something. I'm going to do a little pivot on my bargain boxes. So I'm going to share what I'm going to do. And I think I talked about this with maybe Bronco. We had Bronco and I went in showtime. The three of us had late lunch after the show upstairs at the sports bar. So I'll get into that. George, good morning. Good evening to you. Joe Trotto, what's happening? Steve Ains Comedy in the house. What's going on? James says, so much Pokemon and new basketball. I know, it's actually a breath of fresh air when I go through a bargain box and it doesn't have 2021 to 2024 singles. I've got enough. I've got enough of that. I've got enough modern. It's kind of nice to see 80s and 90s stuff in bargain boxes. Harlan's here. What's going on? Good morning. Shane Koopmans. What's up? Found another great deal on eBay. 210 refractors, $20. I was the only bid. Holy shit. Found a Darvish orange out of 25. Wow. Verlander of 50, Ortiz of 99, some low number John Lester stuff. 2 cards will pay for it all. And I don't know, is Dan US Sports Cards here? He did some lots last night and struck out big time on the sales side of lots. Do not lot up on auction because, well, for Shane's sake, do. That's a great deal. Congrats from Orlando. Mikey says, why no Hobby Evolution yesterday? I was not home. I was with my mom on Mother's Day. James says, first dealers are amazing. John wants to know, how come Steve Ains wasn't at the Brady roast? He may have been there, but he wasn't on the dais. Amadeus. Is it the die or the dais? You know how I am with pronunciations. On the day, on the dais, on the die. Dais. That's what I'm going with. I'm sticking to it. Orlando says, John, Bo picked up some Steve Garvey cards. I did. I found some Steve Garvey in the binders. Zach says, with the majority of your sales on eBay, are you able to filter sold cards to determine which player you have sold the most of? If so, do you use that data to when you procure cards to flip? That's a really good question from Zach. Not that Zach doesn't have other good questions, but I like this. This is not a question that I've really touched on. But the answer I'm going to give is actually something that I wanted to talk about based on my title, How to Find Deals in Bargain Boxes. Do I filter my sold cards? Not really. Sometimes I do, but it's not using that data, that hard data. A lot of what I do is based on just gut feel, which is very bad business. But to this point, it's worked. Now, I also don't comp. When I'm digging through bargain boxes, I typically don't comp. I take risks, but I take 50-cent risks, right? It's not a $50, oh, I think I can sell this for 100. No. So a lot of stuff, I have a gut feel. Take, for example, and I tweeted this out last night on Twitter. There were Sandlot insert cards from Archives. Topps Archives released the Sandlot insert set in 2018. Such an iconic movie, especially for those of my age. And I'm going through these in a 50-cent box, and I'm like, 50 cents for the and I almost passed them over. And I'm like, you know what? I bet I can move these for $3 a piece. So my gut feel was $3. So I get to my mom's house on Saturday night, and I stayed up late, and I was because I had cards to look at. And so I'm on the couch watching Van Wilder, and great movie. And I'm starting to comp some of this stuff. And I look up Sandlot insert from 2018 Archives. I was way off, like on $3. They're selling for like $15 to $20. In fact, I sold Benny the Jet Rodriguez this morning for 15. It took a best offer of $15. Some have sold for 20. Some of the like and like the Twins, the Twins, those are like lesser. Those are going to be in like 10, but $10. So I think I got 6. I got Ham, two Hams, Benny the Jet, and I think there was one more. Can't remember the other one. Tommy, I can't remember. But that's based on like gut feel. Is when I take some of these risks, but I also fail on some of these. In fact, it might have been last year's Midwest premiere, maybe 2 years ago. I was taking some risks on Yordan Alvarez out of the dollar box. I know I'm going to get these cards for maybe 75, 80 cents on the bulk on a volume discount. And I'm thinking I can move these for $250, and I bought like a ton of Yordan Alvarez rookies. And when I say a ton, like 20. So spent $15, $20 on Yordan Alvarez. Guess what? They didn't sell. And not for $250, dropped the price to like $2. So it's a little more than break even. And I sell a couple, and then I take best offer, like $1.50. Now I'm losing money on them. So, but again, the risk was pretty limited when you're digging through bargain boxes. Do I use the data though that eBay and you certainly can. It's how I track my Bowman sales. How much did I make on gross sales selling 2024 Bowman? We can go in and let's see, all orders. How about let's junk wax superstar Jose Canseco. Let's see how many Jose Canseco cards I've sold in the last 90 days. 26. Now let's go to my active listings. So I've sold 26 Jose Canseco cards in the last 3 months. Let's see how many I've got in my eBay store. And this kind of gives you a rough, and actually one or two of those may have been like an 8-card lot. Can I filter? Oh man, I don't know how to filter. Oh, item title, Jose Canseco. But I'm assuming they're all single card sales. 20. And shit. That was 26 orders though, not singles. All right. So I have 129. Oh, I have some quantity. So I have 142 Jose Cansecos listed in my store. Let's go back to orders because I think it's probably going to be more than 26 singles. I forgot that's order. It tracks orders, not sales. Canseco. All right. So there's 1, 2, 3. That was a lot. So plus 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. So 38. So 38 Jose Canseco cards in the last 90 days. Pretty good for a junk wax guy. Where are we at? So that's a good question. So the answer, no, I don't really do that. Bluegill. Yeah, bluegill is a fried fish. Kirkland water. Yes, you gotta Costco bottled water. Good stuff. Good morning, Tiger 727. Been a while since I've been able to listen. Hope everyone is good. Absolutely. Welcome back. Good to have you. Zach says, I had blackened grouper last night. Delicious change. Saying all salmon is the same as like saying all Bowman is the same. And a lot of people think that. Now, I, as a Bowman connoisseur, know that's not the case. But I am not a salmon connoisseur. A lot of people think all Bowman's the same. It's a good comparison. John says, the only salmon I want is the 1959 Bob Gibson. People shit and pee in the water. It's a good point. Sal Dougie says, you ever go to Bluff Lake Catfish Farm? No, I've never even heard of it. Where is it? John says, I love how you and your buddies have call names. It's like you guys are in Top Gun. Poe must be Goose. That's what happened. Growing up in a small town, everybody has nicknames, man. Wait until you hear about how people have sex. You might want to steer clear of that area too then. John says, Shane paid $79.99 in shipping for the lot. Deus. Amadeus. Shane says, I'm trying to make it sound like a good deal. Shipping was $8. There you go. Not bad at all. I love how Bo can't pronounce the simplest of words on his own, but is able to decipher and translate our typo-filled comments in real time. It's a gift. Victor says, good morning. What's going on? Happy Monday. Cubs win. Extra innings. So my buddy Stu yesterday, we're in a group chat. Stu from Club 400 says, Patrick Wisdom is going to hit a home run today. And he goes, I'm placing a bet. He placed a $400 bet yesterday morning that Patrick Wisdom was going to hit a home run in the game. $400. Guess what? Patrick Wisdom hit a home run yesterday. Cubs win. And that $400 bet paid off to $2,000. So, hey, that was, I'm not going to take those type of risks. But good for him. Nice little payoff. James says, I sold the whole set of those Sandlot cards for $100. Got them in a bulk deal. Nice. Van Wilder based on Bert Kreischer. Red Light says, I would buy them all at $3. Shane says, I found a couple of those Sandlot cards in a $1 box at a show. Scooped them up, and now they're going to be part of my office card display when I decide not to be lazy and put up a little shelf. There you go. Johnny M in the house. Good morning. Picked up 1950 Yankees press pin, 51 New York Giants press pin, and a 49 Brooklyn Dodgers press pin for almost nothing. Sold the Dodgers for $260. Nice. Orlando says Canseco is popular. I'm a fan. I love Canseco cards, but I think I love Jose Canseco cards because he was such an iconic player. I don't know, iconic. I mean, he was larger than life to me as an 8-year-old during his prime. And then I love his later playing days cards, like with the White Sox and the Rays and the Blue Jays and all these Montreal Expos, all these random teams he played for, Angels, Yankees. And those are probably the best selling cards from Jose Canseco are the teams he spent like a season with. Max says, you guys don't actually choose fish when you go out to eat, do you? Gross. I did last night. I'm not a big fish guy. I don't typically eat fish when I go out to a restaurant. But since I had steak for lunch, I opted for fish last night. Salmon, we do salmon Sundays. I won't typically order salmon at a restaurant. I don't do Friday fish fries like once a year, maybe. John wants to know, which is plummeting faster, Bitcoin or Bowman? Yep, Bowman's come back to reality. That's why Blasters. I talked to quite a few people Saturday about Bowman, and the consensus is in Blasters are the way to go. Shane says, I wish you, but as I say that, I wouldn't suggest going out this week buying Blasters to rip and flip, because the market has softened considerably. Shane says, I wish you all could have heard my buddy try to say Jose Canseco yesterday. Got a refractor of his in the lot I got, and he was asking about the card and butchered the name so bad I had no idea who he was talking about. That's funny. John wants to know, can you pet the animals at Bluff Lake Farm? Josie Canseco. That's his daughter, Josie Conchaco. Bowman is selling like crazy for Mikey. Bluff Lake Catfish Farm is in Maquoketa. Oh, my cousin lives in Maquoketa. There was a commercial. I think it was for an antique store. It was a local commercial in the local TV station. And it was, what was there? There was a huge, I don't think it's open anymore, but back in the 80s and 90s, it was a huge antique mall. And they had a location in Maquoketa, Iowa, and I don't know, somewhere in Illinois, Aledo, Illinois, in Maquoketa, Iowa. And the guy, he was like an old man, and he would say, in the antique mall in Maquoketa, Iowa, and Aledo, Illinois. Oh, I can't remember what it's probably still around now that Maquoketa, which is a really fun city name to say. Maquoketa, Iowa, antique shop. Banowitz Antiques. It's still open. Galena. I was way off. Galena, Illinois. My wife was actually just in Galena. Banowitz Antiques in Maquoketa, Iowa, and Galena, Illinois. There you go. Shout out Banowitz. Porter says, I noticed Scotty B eyeballing your Anthony Skull auto on a recent episode of Spitballin' Cards. Oh, Anthony Skull. Shane says, I said you have never heard of Jose Canseco. He says, I have. I've just never seen or said his name before. Victor says, great bet. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it when Wisdom hit that home run. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. John says, dude probably drops $400 on every game, pays off every 15 games. John says they need to start Ozzy Canseco inserts and new stuff. It'd be huge. Huge. Baseball card curmudgeon. What's going on? Good morning, Brian. Zach says, like flipping cards, minus Bo, who admits, we only hear about the wins, never the losses. Show me the P&L. James says, Bowman is a product that never loses value. One good game and you dig out the treasures. But the further and further we get out, it becomes tougher and tougher. Because more guys fall off than have good games and climb. But I do enjoy digging out some of the treasures. That is the good thing about Bowman, where you get guys hot at release. Like right now, Dylan Cruz, Walker Jenkins, Brock Wilkin, hot at release. They may fall off the map. But you got another guy that pops up 3 years later. It's like, oh, this guy. Where are we at? Flawed Thinker says, bought a Gleyber Torres 2018 Bowman Paper Orange Auto for $35 2 months ago. He hit a home run yesterday, so I posted it on Discord immediately. Someone bought it 3 minutes later for $80. Nice quick flip. Nice. Very nice. Sal Dougie says, sadly, no live catfish at Bluff Lake Farm anymore, so no petting zoo. Shane says, if you want some lost stories, just let me know. I got some for you. $80 break. Got a base card shipped in a 200-count box filled with peanuts. Hey, well, you got a base card and a box and some packing peanuts. You don't have to buy supplies. John says Bowman's a Ponzi scheme. He'll also sell you a 200-count box for $25 shipped. Hey, not bad. It's a big savings. So I pulled out some great stuff on Saturday. My sales were okay. And that's the typical, that's when a dealer says they did okay, that means they probably made more than they should have, but they were disappointed they didn't make more. And that's kind of where I was at Saturday. It's like, I probably made what I should have made, but I thought I would make more. But I actually, when I went back and counted, because I track everything, I went back and I actually did make more than I initially thought. So I did spend more than I sold, but not by much, not as much as I thought. I think I ended up spending $400 buying, and I made about $350 selling out of dollar boxes and quarter boxes. And let me get into this. Most of my sales came out of dollar boxes. My quarter boxes were I felt like my quarter boxes were untouched, which leads me to possibly pivot. So I do have like a glut of stuff that I need to put in dollar boxes. I just need to sit down and do it. So I may pivot. And the next show I set up at will probably be Janesville on June 9th. I think my plan might be how many dollar boxes I can put together. I might do just only dollar boxes. I have so much bulk, I'll probably bring some other stuff, and maybe Janesville's been where I do drop everything to dime boxes, it seems. So I may bring some dime, I may just turn the quarter boxes into dime boxes. And then load up dollar boxes. So my thought process is the quarter boxes, and what I would put in quarter boxes, we may just do YouTube Live bulk. And so here's the quarter boxes. This is instead. So that's something that I might do. So I was actually talking about a pivot to dollar box. I think Bronco and I were talking about that on Saturday. And then I thought more about it on the drive home yesterday. It's like, well, what kind of, because I've got so much crap I got to get rid of. I've got to sell more bulk because I've got cards all over the fucking place. It's getting out of hand, and I keep buying more. So I might just ratchet up the bulk sales. Flawed Thinker says, anybody here getting into the Blaze sports cards, 100 case Bowman, pick your player break, 50 case HTA, 20 case of each other. You could have got Cruz and Jenkins for just under $50K. Oh God. James says, never good when you spend more than you make. Switch to 10-cent boxes. Let's see. John says, my quarter box was untouched until 9th grade band camp. Bought into a tops break, random team, got the White Sox. Pulled 3 autos, and I will probably get $3 to $6 total for all 3. Ooch. Bo uses shows to acquire inventory. Probably rarely comes home with a clear profit. That's a really good point. Sales at a card show for me is not really what I'm there for. It's nice to make money, and obviously I want to make the most money I can make. But at the same time, I'm really not there to make sales. Card show income is very low on the totem pole of my income streams. A few $100 a show. And so that's, not really much. My sales, $350. My buys, I spent $400, but I'm already, I've sold, I listed a dozen cards maybe. I had a 54 Topps Monty Irvin, bought for $4, sold for 20. Sold one of the Sandlot cards, got it for 45 cents, sold it for 15. So a lot of my buys will make up for, I'll make more off my buys than what I would on my sales. Brian says, more bulk sales. When should I be over? You know how I am with planning. I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't. When's my next? I have no idea. The thing is, I need to get them organized, get them set before I do any sales, and that is kind of time consuming. Let's see. Brian says, why are you going to 9th grade band camp? I thought you had to stay 500 feet away. Oh, Brian. Oh, low blow. Max says same. Ideally, I'd rather have to go to the ATM every show. Yeah. And typically, I'm happiest. I'm unhappy if I sold 500. So, okay, take for example, I think 500 would have been oh, I did $500. That's a good show for me, selling out of quarter boxes and dollar boxes. If I did Saturday, so what I did Saturday, 350 on the sales side, spent about 400 on purchases. If I would have sold 500 and only spent 100, I would have been disappointed. My net's $400 in the green, but I didn't really buy much. I'm $50 in the red this past Saturday, and I'm more than happy. I had a great show because of what I picked up, what I purchased, because I can flip that into profitable. And of course, networking, buying from various people and just developing those business relationships, and as a show promoter, talking with dealers that set up at my show and dealers that haven't set up at my show that might set up in the future. So there's more than just say it and I've said it before, when I set up at card shows, making sales is towards the that's not my goal, but everybody's different. Some people, it's I have to, this is how I make income. Some people, for buying only, they just put a sign up with a small showcase and they just want to buy cards. So everybody has a different agenda when it comes to setting up at card shows. And while making sales, if I only made $50, I'd be pretty disappointed. But if I got great deals on the buy side, I would be less disappointed. So there is, it's a little bit of everything. It's not I don't really have a focus. Sometimes I do. It's okay, but if the right deal comes along, you snag it. Flawed Thinker says, if you acquire too much, will you just list flat rate boxes of random bulk? I'll never sell random. It'll always be cherry picked. Because the problem that if it's random, it might be a bunch of shit. And I don't want to get into that. So, I do have, nothing's random. Everything's cherry picked. So even my random bulk, I've got 150 to 200,000 cards listed on Facebook Marketplace for $500. There's going to be junk, a lot of commons. There's going to be stars, but it's going to be loaded up with a lot of commons. Or do you hold out with the 25-cent show boxes? Bo says no bulk until he clicks that Goodwill bookmark. That's right. As soon as a pallet comes up, man, I can't turn that down, because it's like going to a card show and finding $20 cards in a 50-cent box. You don't turn that down. It's business. I have a lot of bulk, but I just got to find a way to push through it. Shane says, do you list minis on eBay from A&G and Golden Age? If so, do you scan them or take pics of them? So here's the thing. No, I don't list them because they don't go through the scanner. So I've got a whole bunch of them that I and they don't sell out of quarter boxes. So maybe I'll put them all together and do an auction on just A&G minis. Max says, I'm not sad coming home with 2 to 3K every show in cash, but I'd love to put that into sellable product instead. I can move that during the week. Absolutely. John says, I have a ton of minis in my store. They photograph like every other thing. So Shane wants to know, you take a picture instead of scanning. Shane's feed scanner doesn't allow me to scan the cards that small, so I didn't know if there was a good way besides taking them. I think that's the only way, because they do not scan. I think probably the only way to scan a mini would be to put it in a top loader. And I'm just probably is just maybe slightly faster to put it in a top loader and scan it than it is to take a picture. If it's a higher dollar, if it's going to be in my store for $2, I'm not going to list it from my phone. So that's why I just haven't listed any. That dude from Duryea, do you break pallets down into sports? I have a warehouse full of mixed cards and I'm trying to decide if it is worth sorting into sports. My bulk that I sell, like the commons, is just, it's all over the place, not mixed into sport. So the answer, no, I do not break it down into sports when I'm selling bulk. Now, when I break it down into dollar boxes and quarter boxes, then it's broken down into sport. But when I'm just selling bulk, it's not mixed. And maybe it helped sell if it was, I don't know. Good morning, Mr. Archer's in the house. Flawed Thinker says, last week, a guy I know told me that he was offered a job from a big name repacker. It was for $150K plus per year to go to shows and buy as much as possible for 90% comps. He's thinking about taking it. That sounds like easy money. Sounds like easy money. John says, I use my iPhone for everything. I don't scan. Can you scan in card savers? No. Top loaders. You probably could, but I don't know. I've never tried it. I can be in Duryea in 2 hours to pick up your tossaways. Shane says, I probably could, but would it really be worth it to put 100 plus minis in card savers just to scan them? I ship all my cards in card savers anyway, so they all eventually end up in one for the most part. There you go. Good way to think about it. So how do I find deals in bargain buy? We kind of touched on this, where sometimes I take calculated risks. 50 cents seems like a good deal for these Sandlot inserts. You know, and I wrote this in the description. I'll share my secrets today, but unfortunately, there are no secrets. There are no secrets to finding good deals in bargain boxes. The secret is A, you got to look. You got to go to card shows and you got to dig through bargain boxes. And second, you've got to know what you're doing. And you can watch as many YouTube videos and you'll get a lot of good advice from various YouTube shows that are, digging through bargain boxes. But at the end of the day, you're not going to know everything. You may have never heard Sandlot inserts sell for $15 to $20. You may have not heard some random 90s insert is a big deal. And that's something that I see. There's so many 90s inserts that I might be passing over $50 or $100 cards in a quarter box or 50-cent box because I'm just not up on that market. I know some of them, but I don't know all of them. And sometimes it's like, I wonder if this is a good card. This could be a $100 card, and it's a $3 card. This is probably a $3 card, and it's a $100 card. So 90s inserts definitely my weakness. Sometimes when I do comp at a bargain box, it's usually stuff like, here's a Derek Jeter insert from 98, and it's a $2 card. So that's one thing. What else did I find out of the bargain boxes? You know what I loaded up on? I bought almost 300 Michael Jordan cards Saturday. I bought 212 from one dealer and 63 from another. So 275 Jordans. Got them for about $1 a piece. It's really hard to find Michael Jordan singles for $1 a piece, unless they're like checklists or, and even 91, 92 Fleer. Tough to find those for even at $1. So I loaded up. I love the Broder unlicensed cards. Those typically sell well in the $3 to $5 range. So I got quite a few of those. What else did I pull? Tops Now. There's a couple, and they're lower print runs, especially when you go back to 2016, 2017, Topps Throwback Thursday. I found a Trey Turner rookie Throwback Thursday from 2016, another rookie from 2016. And these can go for 10, 20 bucks. I think the Trey Turner I have listed for 25. I think I'm the lowest on eBay. There's only like 4 others on eBay. Now, is it going to sell at that? Probably not, but I'll fish for offers, see what comes along. So how do I find, and so sometimes, and so most of what I bought Saturday was from Jennings, the card shop in Freeport. 3 or 4 of the last shows that he's set up at that I've been, and I've looked through his boxes, have been like, this, not much here for me. Not for what I'm looking for. But Saturday, a lot of good stuff in there. And sometimes that's the thing. I know there's a history of him having really good stuff in the bargain boxes, even though recent history, not so much. But I go back. I had time in the morning. I'm looking for bargain boxes. There weren't too many bargain boxes at the show. So I'm looking through. I'm like, this is a good card. I was in 50-cent boxes. Here's a good card. I'm like, eh. Then all of a sudden I find like I kept digging because I see like these little, you don't want to spend an hour at a box and not find a card. Like, move on. Like, if you go through a couple stacks and there's nothing that catches your eye, move on. If it's a dealer that has in the past had good stuff, I may look through an entire row before deciding it's time to move on, or I'm going to stay and take my chances on the next row. And, I found a couple cards in the first couple stacks. I'm like, yeah, but I want to find, these are only 50-cent cards. I want to make sure there's, a dozen or 10, and go through a couple more. I'm like, okay, now I'm going to start putting stuff aside, because I usually pass by these cards. So I went back and I kept a couple, and then all of a sudden I get deeper into, I'm like, damn. And then I got to another box, really good stuff. So, I think I bought 100 cards first thing. What I really liked about this show on Saturday at the Midwest premiere was customers couldn't come in until 9 for VIP. There was a VIP at 9 o'clock, and then general admission came in at 10. So dealers, I got there shortly after 7. So I've got a 2-hour head start on the rest of the crowd. And that's awesome. That's worth your table fee right there. And then I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, shit, I've got to pay. I got to get over to 5-star and check out what he's got. And he didn't bring much. I was a little disappointed with Matt in his bargain boxes. I bought some $4 cards, some out of the $5 box, 5 for 20 deal. And then I think I bought a few dollar cards. Like literally a few, like 3 or 4. So I was able to get, I got the Monty Irvin. I got a couple like 50s cards. And then there were a couple Cubs autos. And then maybe 1 or 2 other cards. I think I spent $40 with him. And then I went back and I was looking for, I went back to Jennings like during the show because I was going to see if he had any like LeBron and Kobe. Yeah, a ton of Jordans. So I'm like, So I messaged one of my buddies that does lots, and I said, hey, here's what I'm looking at. And based on the information he provided, I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to load up on Jordans today. And I did, to the tune of 275, and I probably have another 25, 30 from various Goodwill pallets. And because I always set Jordans aside. Haven't decided if I'm going to lot them out or sell them as singles. I'll probably lot them. And I've also got Tom Brady, and I should have done this last week with the roast. I've got a bunch of Tom Brady that I want to put on a lot as well. Okay, where are we at? Let's see. James says, tell me your secret. You need to take time and dig and know what's hot. There you go. That's exactly what it is. You got to take time, you got to dig, and you got to know what's hot. That's the secret. John says, I don't graze in the bargain boxes. It's too much effort for me as it's all modern. Dr. Jim lives in the bargain boxes. I typically, unless I'm really like right now, I do not need modern baseball. I've got so much of it. But if I can find some of the off stuff like 2018 archives, which I don't really consider modern anymore. Right now, what I consider, and maybe it's ultra modern, 2020, basically COVID to now, there's a glut. So anything pre-COVID is a little harder to find in bargain boxes. So, but if I see 2020 to now, I'm usually avoiding it, and some shiny chrome Bowman, then I'm going to take a look to see what's in there. But, if it's just a bunch of base rookies and commons, no dice. Hey, there you go. Dat dude from Duryea. They can chat. Let's see. John says, I don't put cards into card savers until I ship, with the exception of odd stuff like 69 stamps, coins, or higher end items. That's exactly how I am. Let's see. And Shane does the same. James says, Jennings, hit or miss. They used to be a hit every time. Lately, it has been hit or miss. Man, up until about a year and a half ago, man, they were money every single time I was hitting it. But the last 3 or 4 shows outside of Saturday, it's been like, ugh. Mikey says, I just grabbed the Pirates and a Blez break on Fanatics Live. Brian says, was sorting my 3,000 plus 91 upper deck cards to log into trading card database. Oh my God, that sounds horrendous. I learned all about hologram variations. I was staring at card numbers while sorting, and I noticed a slight difference on the hologram. Happened completely by accident. Now I know what to look for and how easy they are to spot. Already sold 3 of the 30 I posted on eBay. Wow, that's good. It's impressive. When I go to the Chantilly show, I always stop by this one guy's tables. He always has about $10 to $15 boxes, and it's never the same inventory, mostly gradable too. James says, at the Chicago Sports Spectacular, Jennings boxes were fire. Not at the Chicago Sports Spectacular I went to. Were you at the March show? The November show that I went to, his boxes sucked. Because I didn't buy, I looked through his boxes twice because there was like no bargain boxes at the November Spectacular. And I started to wonder, like, maybe his national, his boxes were awesome and nobody was there. He was in like a back corner on Wednesday night. I hit up the singles club and bought a few cards at the singles club. They had a lot less inventory than they have in the past. So I had a lot of extra time that I wasn't expecting. So I went out in search of Jennings because he's usually my second stop after the singles club. And there's like nobody, and I pulled out fire at the National. But then like the smaller shows, I wonder if he just takes kind of junky boxes to these small one-day shows. But I did not go to the March Spectacular. Mikey says, I've hit really great in Bowman breaks. I hit a Sebastian Walcott numbered to 99 auto, Jared Dickey auto to 299, Anthony Huezo auto, plus the hits from Blasters, Aiden Miller, and Jenkins and Lombard. Yeah, you did well. My boxes, not so. I mean, I hit some nice stuff, but my autos were kind of, not good. Forgot to tell you the best refractor from the lot. Well, tell me. Now, Shane leaves us on a cliffhanger. So that's my secret. Know what you're looking for and just start digging. Tyler Colvin. Backwards purple refractor from Bowman Platinum, number 2 out of 10. Oh, wow. Very cool. Very cool. So that's what I had. It was a good weekend. It was a good weekend, good buys, good sales. Next card show for me, I will not be set up, but the next Madison card show, Saturday, May 25th. It's also Bratfest weekend. So come out to the Madison card show, May 25th. It'll be another sold out show, 175 tables, 3 ballrooms. Saturday, May 25th. I should have July, August, September dates locked in this week. Fortunately at this time, now I don't know if I never know until I get the contract, because sometimes they'll a week before they send the contract, yep, we got all your dates, and then the contract comes in, it's like, oh, we don't have this date, but we have this date. So it looks like the July date I need, I'm going to get, so that's good. Same with August. And September, my date that I wanted is not available. So it's probably going to be the July, August, September dates. Likely, don't write this down, likely will be the third Saturday of each month. So it's never, just a reminder, the Madison Card Show is never on a set weekend. It's never on the third Saturday of the month. It's never on the fourth Saturday of the month. It's just, it varies based on the hotel availability and my availability. August, I don't want to do the last Saturday because the Pearl Jam concert. July, we're not doing the last Saturday because it's the National. Somebody did say, they're like, you probably would do well having a show on the National weekend. And that's something that some promoters and I have talked about, like doing a show the weekend of the National, because a very small percentage of people go to the National. I think it would still be successful. But I'm not going to do that. Not never, but not this year for sure. So Madison Card Show, Saturday, May 25th. June, we will be back to 135 tables and 2 ballrooms. So, June is, I did not book the State Street Ballroom, the 3rd ballroom for June when I got the contracts, because I don't know how the summer months are going to be with demand. So when I reached out talking about July, August, September, I'm like, just in case, is the room available in June? No, it's already booked. So at least I know we're only at 135 tables in June. July, I'm not booking the State Street Ballroom for July, August, September either. But if demand is there and the room's available, we may expand out. So just a little heads up. The 3rd room is going to be filled this month, May 25th. Let's see. Mikey says, I really like Fanatics Live better than Whatnot. Brian says, also have a funny story to share about my younger brother. He has a tiny eBay store to sell his in-person autos. He had one buyer interested in a piece he had. He decided he wanted to keep it as it was difficult to obtain. He asked me to buy it so the interested party would not get it. I told him he should just end the listing. LOL. He needs a quick eBay 101 class. Yes, if it's a buy it now. Yes. There you go. Give him an eBay 101 class. Shane says, just kidding. It's $9.99, I guess. Where are we at? Max says, stay away from August 17th. What's August 17th? Hopefully not the Madison Card Show. Right now, it looks like August 24th will be the Madison Card Show. But again, sometimes they throw me for a loop, and I never announce the dates until the contract's in hand. And hopefully the contracts will be in hand this week. So August 17th would be an emergency date. The 31st is Pearl Jam. So hopefully... You just said 3rd Saturday. I didn't look at the calendar. I just assumed August 24th was the 3rd Saturday. Okay, so I should probably back this up. Okay. July 1, 2, 3. July should be the 3rd Saturday. August. Oh, There's 5 Saturdays in August. That's what threw me off. So I guess it would be the 4th Saturday in August. So the 4th Saturday in August. And then the 3rd Saturday in September. Okay. So I didn't realize there were 5 Saturdays in August. So hopefully, knock on wood, that date still available when they send me the contract, and it will be August 24th. So that's what I had for today. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Max is good with that. Points booked for the 17th. Still not sure why Austin decided to go away from first Saturday. Stevens Point. Gotcha. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, visit my eBay store. Be catching up on shipping today. And new stuff in my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more at regular price, save 25% off at checkout. We'll be live every morning this week, even Saturday and Sunday. So have a wonderful Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.